So maybe you've done quantum jumping many times before, but you're not quite sure whether it worked or not. How can you actually know that you've leaped and shifted your reality? I feel like in the world of manifestation and journaling, it's so easy to get overwhelmed about doing everything all at once, like journaling, visualization, meditation. Everybody's doing vision boards, so it feels like you need to do all these things in order to quantum shift, quantum leap, however you want to call it. And immediately once you've done the work, you feel like you need to sort of be looking for results or maybe some clues that something has actually shifted. And you start to sort of nitpick on everything that you've done and start maybe even feeling that you didn't do everything quite the way it should have been done. And you start to second guess whether you quantum jumped the right way or whether your quantum leaping worked. I've done quantum leaping many times, and at some point I was actually doing it like almost daily, like meditation or visualization. I would wake up and at some point throughout my day I would do a 30-minute quantum leaping meditation. Your Universe actually has the best ones. This is usually the one that I use, but there's so many good ones and they're all quite excellent, so I really urge you to try one of these. But because we as humans have a lot of resistance towards things that we subconsciously don't think that we can have. For example, if we don't see ourselves in being in high paid positions, or maybe jumping from 9 to 5 to becoming an artist, there's a lot of subconscious resistance that we have, and we start to really doubt whether we are worthy of having it or whether it will ever, come into our reality. So once you do quantum leaping, do you also have to do subconscious work in order to let this manifestation in or the shifting in? Can it be even possible to quantum shift if you haven't done the work on a subconscious level? And what are the small things that you should be looking out for when you are going towards this new reality, this quantum leap? And specifically the things that you are not maybe even aware of happening around you. But noticing these things can really change the focus and sort of give you a bit more trust in the whole process, in knowing that it'll eventually happen. First thing that I noticed to be a reoccurring event whenever I knew that I was quantum leaping without it being like this huge thing happening, it's not always this explosive event that is taking place. It can be really small things. And the first thing that I noticed that was happening around me was usually one person or maybe even multiple people would not remember a past event occurring at all. I have a clear recollection of it happening, but the other person does not remember any of it. And I'm not saying here that they just forgot something, a small event or something, but they actually cannot recall this event at all. So it feels like, did it actually even happen? This is usually a clear sign that you have shifted the reality. So in your past experience and in your reality, you experienced something happening with them or them being somewhere or saying something. And then once you, in this new reality, you are confronting them about it or maybe just noticing, saying something about this event, they do not remember it ever happening because they were not there in this reality, if you know what I mean. And it's because they experienced that specific event differently. I remember once giving a set of keys to my friend. I kind of just forgot about it, but then the friend contacted me and said that they needed a set of keys and why haven't I given the keys to them? And I was so shocked because I clearly remembered giving the keys to them. At that point, I didn't question what they needed. I didn't question or try to explain it to them because I knew already by experience that this meant that I have shifted on one way or another. We don't always know how we've shifted. So it's not something that you can pinpoint, but it's kind of like these small clues that you're being given and you notice that from now on, okay, something happened here. Now I'm trusting the process a bit more. But remember that the quantum leaping or the shifting process doesn't happen on the same second you've ended your quantum leaping meditation. So it's not something that instantly happens and it's not something that you will instantly see, which we sort of expect to happen because we're like, okay, I've done this. Now what? Why aren't I seeing the results now? The truth is that what you have in your reality at this very moment is the reflection of your past thoughts. In short, this means that whatever you have in your current reality, whether it's a specific partner or not having a partner or specific job or whatever it is for you, it is actually because in the past you have thought that it is not possible for you, because our mind doesn't know the difference between something negative or something positive. So actually, if you are thinking negatively, let's say that you are fearful of getting sick all the time, so you're looping this thought in your head, you are then giving your focus to this exact thought, which means that if you are feeling that you're not worthy of a partner and it's coming from a lacking place, you're emitting energetically your focus on this thought, and the reality usually then just kind of catches up with the thought process and the looping thoughts that we have. In the past, I had a job that I really sort of disliked. I didn't want to be there. I was having this thought process all the time, how I wanted to shift my focus and just change the job. What I was actually thinking, now that I'm quite clear about what thoughts I let in to my reality, I was thinking about me not being good enough for the shift. I wasn't seeing myself as somebody who could be an artist or somebody who could work somewhere else than where I was working at. I was seeing everything through the lens of lack, and I wasn't seeing myself as being worthy of something better. And this was also something that I was then creating in my reality. But once I changed these thoughts, I then started to more clearly see possibilities instead of obstacles. And once you become aware of this thought process, not to say that every thought you are having will instantly manifest itself in your life, so do not be afraid of negative thoughts. That also happens, but do not start looping them. Start rewiring these thoughts into new thought processes, either through affirmations, meditation, or maybe even journaling. You can then start looping new thoughts and saying to yourself how you are actually worthy. Another event that usually occurs after me quantum leaping is if I have placed an object somewhere or even thrown away, and then I see the exact object somewhere else, as if somebody else already acquired the object, or as if in this other timeline this other person has the object and I don't actually own it at all. Once I had this ring that was given me by my family member, and I thought this was such a unique ring. No one else obviously had a similar ring because it came through inheritance, and then I saw the exact same ring somewhere else. Somebody else was wearing this ring. So I remember thinking, this cannot be true. Okay, this cannot be true, right? Because I thought it was unique. Obviously not everything is unique, but seeing these connections between two items or just one item and then it being shown to you in a different instance clearly indicates that there is some sort of shift happening. You know that there's something quite weird about it, right? And this is a clear sign that something has been shifting in the background. Even if you haven't seen other clear signs, this is one. The third thing that I find very interesting is you start choosing differently for yourself. So for instance, if you've always wanted to start cooking more or taking longer walks or even taking any walks, maybe start exercising, it can be anything, but you start noticing that you have slowly yet very surely start shifting your habits, the decisions that you make. So before it might have been difficult for you to make decisions, difficult for you to choose better for yourself, but for whatever reason, now it feels easier. So now it doesn't feel like such a task that you want to go for a walk, or picking up a book feels so natural to you. And you will notice how things come so much easier for you. It's easier just to start living and embodying the life of this person that you have seen yourself to actually be. For example, I really envisioned myself to become more of a full-time artist, and I saw myself changing the way I loved myself, changing the way on what decisions did I do for my health, for my wealth. Also, it changed a lot of things about my aesthetics because I understood that I was sort of keeping myself from doing certain things because I thought that they didn't fit into the role that I was living in. But then I understood that, okay, maybe I should actually focus on these because I was wanting to shift the role that I was in. So you cannot be a new person from the same place that you are in now. I really changed the way I dressed, the way I showed up to the people in my life, the way I focused my energy. Where did I focus my energy? I changed a lot of things. And these didn't come all at once, but they sort of shifted in very, very tiny, small habits. Like I noticed that it was easier for me to focus on being healthy. It was easier for me to focus on growing myself rather than maybe going out with friends. So I started to make very clear and conscious decisions on becoming a better version of myself, but it was also easy to do. So it was something that just came quite easily for me. And my life really started to shift in correspondence. As above, so below, the law of correspondence. What I was doing and the small changes that I was making, was really then being reflected in the reality. But everything always came with a bit of a delay. So do not get discouraged if you don't see everything happening all at once, because it will take time for your body to sort of catch up with the mind shift and the quantum jump. But these things are never obvious, and they really go unnoticed because we're always focusing on things like large big changes that we can see and find. So our focus is always like, what can I see now? What can I see happening? And we have quite high expectations of seeing these changes immediately. And we sort of have like this pre-planned notion of like, what is the change gonna look like? Like these changes come in different forms and we are not always ready or even aware of how they're gonna arrive. One thing that I also did, and you don't have to do this, but it might help on this journey, writing down all the things that you feel that this version of yourself might have or embody. So for me, for example, I wanted to focus more on aesthetics, on beauty, the beauty of life, beautiful things. And before this, I always thought that it was sort of superficial on some level. But then I understood that if it makes me happy, why wouldn't I focus more on that? How my home looked, how clean it was, how clean I was, how I was maintaining my nails, my skin, my hair. And it became like this overall shift because I knew that the version that I saw myself being had all these things. So it was quite difficult to understand that I might also want to be doing these things because I thought that they were in conflict with who I was before. I always saw that me as the artist that I was before was somebody who was low maintenance, somebody who could live off of very little and was not needing aesthetics or beauty in their life. But then I understood that deep down, I was not actually that person, but I was trying to fulfill somebody else's needs and expectations about myself. And then when I realized that you can let go, you can just be yourself. If somebody doesn't like it, it doesn't matter because it is not their life, it is your life. And the last tip, which I do feel we sometimes need to remind ourselves in the midst of shifting our focus, our realities, is do not sit around and wait for it to come to you. Embody the person who already has these things. So if you are feeling that you're not seeing clear signs, maybe you're not seeing any of these signs or you're not aware of seeing them, because you need to be in this mindset of filtering everything and seeing these signs happening around you. So if you're not able to see that you are actually quantum leaping, then I would recommend for you to just focus on the things that you can do. Because when I was doing quantum leaping every week, I was still going about my life. I was working in the place I didn't quite like. Even if my imminent reality wasn't quite reflecting on what I wanted my reality to be, I was still very focused, and also my mind was almost certain about the quantum leaping coming through at some point. So I wasn't stagnant or stuck in the thought of having to see all these signs, but I was more so very focused in the present moment and in the life that I was in at the moment and trying to enjoy life. So I wasn't just sitting around and looking for signs, because I think that whenever the time is ready, whenever you're ready and the situation is prime for everything, I feel like we will have this push, this sort of nudge to go to the right direction. It can also be through frustration. It can be through being at the end of our rope and then being forced to shift somewhere else. So it's not always beautiful. It's not always graceful how you move forward. It can be that you need to let go of certain things or people. So it might also be through pain or painful experiences. But it will eventually happen, because there's literally so much proof of this being true and possible that you cannot even second guess it. And if you do enough of research, you will find so many stories about this, how people spoke their life into existence, or how they just envisioned things to happen even if nothing in their current reality was even implementing that would be possible, but it still happened. Keep on quantum leaping, keep on visualizing, keep on meditating. Also be graceful on yourself. Don't expect things to change immediately. We have so different realities and situations where we start from. So there is no right or wrong way in doing this, but eventually you'll start seeing these signs too. Okay guys, this is it for this week, and I'll be seeing you next week.